half of the engineering time. So as a result of that, it became the lean machine that Japan was marching fast forward past the domestics with a very lean production process. And lean manufacturing became the term that became the rage. Unfortunately, we messed that all up, and everything was lean manufacturing for a while. So if you Google the word lean today, and you're welcome to Google it on your own at any time, and you will find the primary definition of lean is that it is actually a relentless work or pursuit of eliminating waste from a manufacturing process. And so what is waste? And then we're eliminating anything and everything that we consider to be waste that doesn't add value from the perspective of the customer. And that sounds all well and good, except we got it wrong. How did we get it wrong? Because in many cases, our pursuit to become lean and eliminate waste has driven down essential items and essential workplace processes and the essential inventory and essential relationships with suppliers. So in a lot of cases, we chose the least expensive supplier instead of the best quality supplier in our pursuit to eliminate waste. So we attacked costs and forgot about quality in many cases. So that led to some problems and still leads to some problems. I see lots of companies that are on the pursuit of what I call constraining or controlling quality, quantity, time, and price. Think about that for a minute. Their core ideal of daily pursuit from all their employees is really constraining or controlling quality, quantity, time, and price versus trying to improve those areas. And that's where it really gets off the tracks. When you're controlling and constraining quality, quantity, time, and price, your focus, therefore, is not on improving those areas. And the Deming principles are about improving those areas. And the Toyota production system is still pursuing the highest quality in all areas, and their supplier relationships are built on that quality as well. They work with their suppliers. They will actually send consultants in there, paid for by Toyota, into their tier 1, tier 2 suppliers and actually work with them to improve them in terms of quality, using the Toyota production system principles, of course. So it began as lean manufacturing. And I said, we messed that all up. And then it went to lean. We dropped manufacturing, and it was only for manufacturing for many years. And the myth was it was only for manufacturing. It doesn't apply to administrative. It doesn't apply to marketing. It doesn't apply to sales. Well, it certainly does. And you're going to see as we go through this presentation that Toyota applies their principles to all those, from sales to service to their distribution channel to manufacturing to their supplier network. There's a quality aspect that they pursue in all those areas. So we dropped the manufacturing off the lean, but we're still carving out waste. Get to 50% of everything, I've heard companies say. And they put out these lofty goals, and many of them are unrealistic because they come from the top of the tower, but they haven't actually provided a method whereby their people can actually achieve a cost reduction, eliminating certain things, carving out waste, taking out added value. They haven't provided the method for their people, just a mandate, a requirement. In many cases, it's an unrealistic goal or target that they're chasing. So now everyone's doing lean, right? We have the lean movement. I see companies all over the world will put lean in their marketing brochures. They'll tie lean into consulting companies around the world. And when I read their articles or their publications on lean, you can absolutely read through the rhetoric and see they have no deep understanding of Deming principles or the Toyota production system. Lean is just jargon. It's just a corporate term that they plastered all through their marketing brochures or their products that they produce. They add lean into the advertising or the flyers, but it's actually manufactured for a traditional environment. It's not lean at all. So now we have continuous improvement officers. We have continuous improvement directors. We have vice presidents of continuous improvement departments. So now we have a new movement. We've got the continuous improvement movement, which we've had for many years, but now it seems like there's a heightened desire to have a continuous improvement department or officer, a bragging point maybe for some of the CEOs at some of the conferences that they attend. I don't know, but it just seems like everyone's advertising for a continuous improvement officer. And when there's a continuous improvement department in a company, my warning flag goes right up. My caution flag goes right up, and I ask, why would there be a continuous improvement department? Shouldn't continuous improvement be everyone's job in the company if it's synchronized correctly and there's a process for it and it's supported by management? Shouldn't everyone in the company be a continuous improvement officer? Why would there be one officer coming up with his or her mini projects in a silo office and then coming out and rolling them out to the company and the employees? That's just another department with silo projects. That's not continuous improvement that Deming talked about many years ago in the 50s when he introduced it to Japan. So now we have the iterations. We have Lean Six Sigma, we have Lean Sigma, TOC, Lean TOC, Agile, Lean Agile, and then Industry 4.0, we're going to digitize the manufacturing plants with Industry 4.0, and that's going to solve all the process, production, and people problems. So we have new relabeled programs. When one fails and sizzles out, we'll create a software solution, we'll create a program solution, or we'll create certifications and training and audits and all this stuff that we've conjured up over the years because we've derailed and we continue to derail, and it's further away from the tracks. It's hard to get the cars put back up on the tracks and get it running and moving in the right direction. So when I look at this, when I work with companies, it doesn't matter what type of company I'm working with, whether it's steel mills, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in the automotive industry, it just doesn't seem to matter whether they're manufacturing boats or cars or airplanes. It doesn't matter. We've attached all these costs with getting our organization right to improve something in terms of quality or cost reduction, or to improve the processes, or to improve productivity. But we've added a bunch of things, a bunch of tools and a bunch of rules. And guess what? It's not working. The tools and rules aren't what we need. It isn't about tools and rules. It's about management, aligning the organization to do the right thing the first time, every time, and being able to make that possible by their management support. And this starts at leadership. And a lot of people don't want to talk about the leadership component. We're going to get into that in a few minutes here during the slides. We're going to get into the management component and how critical it is. But you've all seen lean methodology, and it talks about the waste, right? Waiting for information, checking inventory levels, set up times of machines, locating missing parts, um, repairing broken equipment, reevaluating situations due to lack of communication, waiting for job assignments, unnecessary movement of people, equipment, and materials. And then the greatest of all wastes is unused employee creativity. Our greatest asset is our people and their minds, and giving them the ability to be proud and take pride in their workmanship, as well as being engaged and participating in improving things, having a voice in the process, making it better, detecting what went wrong or what will go wrong or what can be avoided by giving employees a chance to speak up and correct problems and errors and mistakes. The greatest thing that Toyota gives their employees on the line is the obligation to pull an and-on cord and immediately let management know that they've detected something wrong. That's the greatest obligation they've given their people, and that people love it on the assembly line. I've taken literally thousands of people through the Toyota plants, and they're amazed at how smooth they run. And the system is so symphony-like. It's a well-orchestrated manufacturing process that's fun to watch. It's invigorating to watch it. It gives you a real sense of happiness watching how smooth it works, how well it works. But when there's a problem and someone is falling behind, or inventory's not right, or they sense a defect, or something didn't go together just quite right, they have the ability to immediately notify a team leader, which is a supervisor type person, and they get there within seconds to see what the problem is. They will make a final decision whether to stop the line or not for a problem, a mistake, a quality issue, something that the line worker that pulled the and-on cord to set this in motion, to set this 911 alert to a supervisor, they've detected something wrong, and they have the obligation to fix it, and they want to fix it, and they don't want anything progressing downstream to the next person, their internal customer, getting something that's wrong or not quite right. And it's wonderful to watch this play out. If you've never gone through a Toyota factory, when they open those up again and they allow outside visitors, I would recommend that you take a tour through a Toyota manufacturing plant. I've been through the the San Antonio, Texas Tundra plant, Tacoma plant many times over, Georgetown as well. So seeing what Toyota's done, it demonstrates the ability of management to do the right things for the employees, and the employees participate back to management by wanting to get it right the first time, every time. So it's everyday improvement, everybody improvement, and everywhere improvement, and they're given the tools and the ability to do that. Unused employee creativity in most companies is lacking a great deal. As a result of that, many people don't know that 80,000 ideas per month inside the world of Toyota around the globe are presented to management. 80,000 ideas on how to be safer, increase quality, change processes. There's 80,000 ideas. There's close to 1 million ideas inside the world of Toyota from their people coming to upper management per year. and they act on many of those items. I was at a station in the Georgetown manufacturing plant where they make Camry and a couple other vehicles on that same line. And there was a line worker that once worked there. He's since retired, but he's the guy that changed motor manufacturing around the world, just an average line worker. He came up with the idea that after the vehicles come through the paint department, that the doors would be removed from that vehicle after they were painted, and they would be conveyor belted over to a build shop where the doors were built, but they were out of the way to install the interior items, dash panels, seats, etc. So there was less problems with scratches and damage. There was less bodily injury not working around doors and so forth. And then those doors marry up to that car some distance down the line, and they're completely built. The glasses in them, regulators, run channels, weather stripping, side moldings, and mirrors are all installed on these doors, and they marry up to that exact same vehicle down the line. It's amazing to watch, and it was just an average line worker that come up with that brilliant idea. But inside the world of Toyota, it isn't engineering that comes up with these brilliant ideas. It isn't upper management that comes up with these brilliant ideas. It's the average worker on the line that has incredible creativity that they capitalize on every day. And that's because management supports a bottom-up way of thinking, producing bottom-up ideas that get to the executive level and they make a decision on it. That employee absolutely changed the motor manufacturing around the world. Every manufacturer today takes their doors off of their vehicles once they get through the paint shop, and they're built in a separate area and they come back to the vehicle. And it was an incredible change and process inside automobile manufacturing plants around the world. Obviously, engineering and logistics and all that came into play to actually bring it to fruition. But the idea came from an average line worker working on the assembly line every day. So Toyota's 4P model is, we've put problem solving at the top of the pyramid. Think about that for a minute. Toyota's 4P model puts problem solving at the top of the model. And if, you know, Toyota's philosophy is really W. Edwards Deming's philosophy, which came about when he started working with Japan after World War II in the early 50s. And he taught them about, one, employee creativity. The employees have the answers, they're doing the work every day, and they need to solve the problems because the problems are at their stations, at their hands. And you've got to understand problem solving is the key to higher quality and to higher loyalty from your employees by getting them engaged, by having them involved in the process that produces the final product. So you see this pyramid, at the top of it's problem solving. The long-term philosophies at the base, that's where management has to base their decisions on a long-term philosophy, even at the short-term expense of financial goals in some cases. So looking on it on the long game versus the short game. And the challenge today is you don't see management and leadership connected to long-term thinking. Everything's a make the month, a short-term gain, very short-sighted thinking. You don't see a long-term plan, therefore you don't have a strategy because the strategy changes minute by minute. So if you don't have a long-term strategy, how can you support what we call lean, which is really the Toyota production system? Because the Toyota production system is what was studied by Womack and Jones. The term lean came from that study of the Toyota production system. So what we're calling lean is really the Toyota production system. But many people I talked to around the world, when I was flying around the country every single week, I would meet people from every industry imaginable on airplanes. And we would strike up conversations, and they were involved in talking about lean training, lean consulting, lean. And I'd ask them, oh, do you know where the word lean came from? And almost 80% of them had no idea that it was the Toyota production system. How can that be? The word lean came from the study of the Toyota production system. So how did we drift so far away from the original roots of what it really is? So it requires a long-term philosophy in thinking from leadership and management to make it work. The next thing on the process moving up is to eliminate waste. Well, we got stuck in lean means eliminate waste. We got stuck in that portion of the pyramid, as I said when I started the presentation. So we're eliminating and carving out waste in every department, in every activity. And this is where most companies got focused, and they're still there. They forgot about respecting people and challenging them and their suppliers. We forgot about that piece because we got so focused and driven on eliminating waste and got some legitimate short-term gains from that. We drove our costs down, raised productivity, maybe increased quality by a smidgen out of all that. And so we're happy. We're stuck in the elimination of waste process, and that's where we're kind of hung up. A lot of companies are hung up there in a tremendous way, and they believe they're doing the right thing. I mean, how many companies do you know that wouldn't stand up if they were on this? Well, they are. Many of you represent companies. How many of you would actually unmute your mic and say, "Hey, Steve, yeah, our quality's fair to poor. We don't really have quality products." How many of you would do that? None of you. You all believe you have high quality products and you're serving your customers well. I was the only rebel that never thought my company made the highest quality products and served our customers well. And I guess that's why I gravitated to Deming's principles so quickly and understood it. But my brain exploded in 1996 when I formally started to study Deming and get the actual principles and appreciation for system understanding, variation, profound knowledge, and getting that in my head, it riveted in my mind in a way where I actually comprehended it. My head exploded in terms of what we were doing inside corporations at that time and how far away we were from Deming's principles that were nailed on the wall. But everyone had forgot what they had learned because most of them hadn't learned anything from the sessions they attended. So then we push up to what I said, instead of constraining and controlling, we're improving by teaching our people to solve problems, continuously improve those, not band-aid them, but actually create a process where we don't repeat those problems again. They become the exception and not the norm. We eliminate firefighting. We get more control of the system and the firefighting goes away. I always try to teach companies that, look, here's the deal. You're too busy because you're involved in firefighting every day. We're going to focus on 20% of the vital few problems and make the 80% of the firefighting problems go away. Well, once that gets in their brain and they get it, they like free up just gobs of time because firefighting was a ritual that they became so addicted to doing that they become numb to it to some aspect. People become numb to it because they're so conditioned by the pain and suffering. They become numb to the fact that all you're doing is firefighting the same problems that you had yesterday again today. Let's make process solutions stick Let's fix it. Let's eliminate 80% of the firefighting by getting 20% of the vital few problems fixed and repaired correctly so we can move forward and our people can enjoy what they're doing. And we can create a fun environment. I like to create a fun environment. And nothing creates a fun environment faster than that pyramid, with getting leadership on board to come up with a strategic plan that puts the customer value first. And then how do we deliver that as an organization? And we go down through that. How do we build in continuous improvement or Kaizen into everybody's every day, everybody, everywhere improvement, not a department over in the corner. Everybody, every day, everywhere. And that's a fun organization to be in. It's energetic. We get things done. People are high-fiving. They're happy. Because why? We're solving problems at the root cause. We're building better processes. People are engaged. They see the value of this moving forward, and they're feeling good. The quality is ticking up, production's ticking up, and the people's attitude is on an all-time high as well. And management supporting that, and they listen when you get it right. Go and see, we talk about Gemba walks, we use the Japanese terms, and it's not a walk. It doesn't mean anything to have upper management walking around the plant floors. It's meaningless if it's just talk. It can't be just talk, and management needs training before they go walking around, or your people will see through that like saran wrap. They'll see it as phony. They'll see it as not genuine. They'll see it as this person's just doing a walkthrough, shaking hands and patting people on the back, but no real understanding of what he or she needs to see, learn, understand, and be involved in fixing for the employees doing the work. We're obsessed with data and databases. There's no question about it. Databases and measurements are totally off the charts today. I go into companies and they're measuring everything, but they don't get much right. How can that be? You're measuring everything, but you don't get much right. We measure everything, we manage very little. Data, of course, is important, as Chairman Cho of Toyota said, but he places greater emphasis on facts. And that's the way I am as well. When I walk through any organization, I size it up very quickly. Why? Because I'm looking at real time, real people. I can see right through their processes, measurements, control boards everywhere, nothing managed properly. In a lot of cases, there's so much waste that they don't even see, but they're on a pursuit for waste. They're actually eliminating waste without real knowledge of what waste to eliminate. So as the slide says, no real understanding. No real training and appreciation for the system, profound knowledge of variation, the psychology of change and how people work, and the intrinsic value of motivating people intrinsically versus just compensating them with incentives and money. So we've lost a lot of the principles that Deming tried to bring into play in his 14 management obligations, and we'll go through those here shortly. So the Toyota production system has become what I call the lean myth, because what TPS is not is what we're selling. What TPS is not is what people are buying. What TPS is not is what companies want. So they sign up for a recipe for success. It's something tangible. They can put their hands on, they can measure it, certification, so audits, trainers. Set of tools for implementation. Management's looking for projects and programs, mid-level projects and programs that they can push down, and a system for the production floor only. Whoa, we want that. It doesn't need to hit accounting, HR, administrative. Just keep it on the production floor. We can control it there. Implement it in the shortest amount of time possible. So you can see the myth on the left-hand side of this slide is exactly what we've managed to do with training programs, certifications, audits, and all the rest of the tangible recipes for success, except they're not successful. Why? Because true Toyota production system is a consistent way of thinking. It's about thinking more than it is doing. Why? Because the doing comes out of getting people to think. That's why I told you the story about the average assembly line worker that outthought engineering, outthought upper leadership, outthought the executive team, right? It was an average line worker that come up with the removal of the car doors, vehicle doors after paint, and then conveyor belting them over to a build shop and then bringing them back. And every manufacturer today uses that. Why? Because they taught their people to think. Average people doing the real work, outthinking engineering. Engineering was involved in making it happen. Absolutely required their brains, their knowledge, and their experience. But they didn't think of it. And that's fine. That's why we want to get a consistent way of thinking inside the entire organization from the very top to the very bottom. A total management philosophy. Wow, has Lean lost this aspect of it? I mean, the Lean programs that I see are totally void of a management philosophy. It's just training people on the tools of Lean that they want them to apply, or the measurements of Lean that they want them to apply, or the statistical analysis of whatever they want them to apply. Focus on total customer satisfaction. Lean talks about that. I'll give it that. At least they bring it up that it's for the customer. I'm not sure they do it all for the customer, but there is a portion of that, or a percentage of that, in most of the so-called Lean training. A never-ending search for a better way. That's questionable whether the Lean programs actually look for a better way with a never-ending pursuit or search. Most of the Lean programs, like I said, are focused on cutting costs and eliminating waste, not necessarily looking for a better way, because they're not wired that way from a management philosophy. Quality built in the process. We take out defects. We sign up for ISO, we put a certificate on the wall, and we think our quality's raised because we have certification and audits. Been through lots of ISO companies, and they make some pretty bad products, but they got an ISO certification. So is quality built in their process, or is it a checklist that gets them another certification and gets them through the audit period? Oh, big question, Steve. Organization, disciplined workplace. Organized, a disciplined workplace. What does that mean? That means a disciplined workplace to build in quality in the process from end to end. That means finding errors, mistakes, and obligating employees to pull the andon cord and let a team leader know that something can go wrong or has gone wrong, or something's off specification. So what is the Toyota production system, also known as Lean? What really is it? As I took you through that, you can see what it isn't that we buy, that we want, that we desire. This is what it isn't, the myth, right? That's what we're buying. We're making the myth a reality, but here's what it really is. It's a way of thinking about how we run businesses. Any business. I don't care whether it's manufacturing, sales, or service. It doesn't matter. This is applicable. I've applied it to any business you can imagine. It applies to your personal life. I do single piece flow in my own house on my bills as they come in. Every bill is paid within 20, not even 24 hours, within 8 hours of a bill coming to my office or my personal home is paid the same day it comes in. We have single piece flow. There's no stacks of bill, none in my business or in my personal life. So you can apply this to your personal life. You can apply this to teaching children. You can apply it to anything. I'm not sure you can apply the lean training today to everything that applies to children, your personal life, paying your bills, your administrative. I'm not sure. But when you get the Toyota production system thinking, excuse me, in your brain the right way, and the gears start turning in the right direction, and it's synchronized. This is applicable anywhere there are activities to produce a product, a service, or an activity that you have in your house every day that you have to accomplish. That's the beauty of it. It's about teaching people to think differently, to think about what they're doing differently. It makes it easier. The idea is to make the work easier, take less effort, and produce a higher quality product as a result of that. Not working harder, but working smarter in the time frame. We're all given 24 hours a day to accomplish something. More can get done when we accomplish it with a good process and a good system, and we constantly try and improve that. So lean is really a purpose, has a purpose. You got to start with that. Deming's number one point was always constancy of purpose, holding constant to the purpose. It's like the shipbuilder that says on the arch that every employee walks through every day, it says, we will build quality ships, sometimes at a profit, sometimes at a loss, but we will build quality ships, period. That's it. Their whole purpose is we're going to build quality ships. Sometimes we're going to be profitable, and guess what? Sometimes we're not going to be profitable, but we have uncompromising quality that'll weather the shipbuilding storms. And they're still in business today, building ships 150 years later. Why? Because they built quality ships. They never change or deviate from that purpose. Lean, the purpose, it should be lean, true lean organizations should have the purpose to provide customer value constantly. You look at Virginia Mason, the healthcare company out of the Pacific Northwest, when they started to embark on lean, the first thing they put up on their strategic plan is to provide patient value. And what do patients want? Well, all patients want the same thing, and you can validate this because you do too as a patient for healthcare. You want high quality, right? You want it administered as fast as possible. You want to get better as quickly as possible, and you want the lowest cost as possible. So we want it. We want high quality, we want speed, and we want price. And you must be able to deliver all three in today's world. I always call it fast, free, and perfect. It's got to be fast. It's got to be added value, has to be free, and you got to make it perfect. There's no exception on quality, even though everyone brags about quality on their marketing advertisements. They normally don't live up to the quality that I find in their marketing brochures and flyers. So provide customer value constantly. That aligns with Deming's principles: constancy of purpose, people, respect and empower your people to solve problems. Deming was a real leader in terms of getting this across to the Japanese in the 50s. And it's what made Toyota production system and Honda and other Japanese companies be so competitive in the world markets of products and services, because they respect their people. They empower them to solve problems. They give them the obligation to stop the line when they see a problem. And then the process of continuous improvement, Kaizen the system. They have absolute standard work. Standard work is every employee writes his job down, and it's documented as to the materials, the supply, the tack time, and the instructions to do the work. every day they review that. Can they make it better? What changes need to be made? Technology's changing. The automobile industry is under constant pressure to survive. Maybe the big ones won't survive in the future with the technology advancements like you see today. The car of the future is going to be a smartphone on wheels. It's not going to be electromechanical like some of them are today. We're moving faster and closer to a fully electronic vehicle, which ends up being a smartphone on wheels. It's updated in your house overnight. It's obsolete in about a year, and you change it out like a cell phone. That's probably the automobile industry of the future. And a lot of it will be autonomous. So they're under great pressure to continually improve their system and continually get it right the first time, because there's a lot of excessive investments and costs on the line. This becomes a never-ending journey. So when you look at this from a purpose, people, process standpoint, and that's when I consult with companies, that's what I always talk about. What's your core purpose here? To make money and be profitable, they always tell me. No, that's a result of what you do. What's your core purpose? They don't even know anymore, because they've changed the result, make money and be profitable, into their core sole purpose, which is wrong. So that's why they're off the track right there. They got the result in front of their core purpose. They lost focus on what people are actually writing their paychecks for. The customer's writing your paycheck for your original purpose. They don't know you deviated from that to profitability, to making money. That became our core purpose. Many companies, they all tell me the same thing. I can do a meeting with 100 management people and owners, and I'll say, okay, what is your core purpose to your business? Oh, make money. Oh, be profitable. Oh, grow market share. Well, okay. Well, that's where they miss it, because they lost their core purpose. You got to get back on the core purpose and get that weaved in the organization and get everyone rowing the boat in the right direction. And that's where the people come in, and the people help you build that right process. Leadership has to build the house of Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese term. We've overused it. It's continuous improvement. That's all it is. Someone has to build a house of continuous improvement. It has to be leadership. Without leadership on board, it doesn't get done. When leadership's on board, it gets done. So it requires that critical component of leadership. At the end of the day, I see lots of companies, and they're just treading water. They're not moving the ship at all. They're not moving the boat at all. You got half the rowers rowing in one direction, and the other half of the rowers on the boat rowing in the other direction, and they're just going in circles in the water. They're not moving the mark at all. Why? Because leadership's not committed. They're not embracing this. They're not engaged in it. They don't have a desire to do it. Why? Because they're rewarded quite handsomely without doing any real work. So they'll sit on their laurels until there's a crisis, or they lose a lot of market share, or a company out of Japan or Korea kicks them in the knees a little bit, and they start to hobble, and then they get it, wake up and start moving again. But that's what it takes in some cases, unfortunately. But it requires, if you want people to continuously improve the organization, you got to respect them and respect their ideas and give them a chance to speak. Competency has to be built into problem solving at every level, and we have to work as a team. And the way to work as a team is when we respect our internal customers as well as our external customers, and every internal customer has a customer that they pass their work on to. And we're empowering the employees to get it right the first time by giving them the support, the tools, the training, and the knowledge on how to do that. So that has to be the foundational pieces, are a common purpose that drives customer value. The whole organization wired to that common purpose to drive customer value. What's the customer buying from us? What's our core business purpose? What's our core business product or service? And then continuously improve that. Deming was a soldier in the area of continuous improvement and wanting it to get better and better and better all the time. Not just improve it to a happy state, but continually move that forward. And it works. It works. I've been involved with company transformations over many years. And it's incredible how addicting this is once you get it wired into the organization right, starting at the top to the bottom. Deming's quality principles and continuous improvement philosophies are what revitalized Japanese industries after World War II in the early 50s. And he and Joe Duran went to Japan after World War II and was working for the government there and started to teach on quality principles to the industry executives. And they were down on their knees. It was after the war. They had low resources. The economy had to be rebuilt. The whole infrastructure had to be rebuilt and revitalized. And Deming started to teach them quality. And you can't come back as an inferior product provider building these junk trinkets anymore. You got to build something that has quality. You got to be able to compete in a global market in terms of quality, and you can do it if you get these principles right. So Deming started teaching them these principles. Why? Because he was basically thrown out of the U.S. and told that his quality ideas weren't needed. They didn't understand that he was going to teach them how to raise their quality and lower their costs and increase their production. And it was basically for free. It didn't require an investment. It required a different way of thinking, which would actually result in a different way of managing people. He wasn't looking for them to invest gobs of money to build higher quality. But they took it as that, oh, Deming, our quality's good enough. We got people lined up for miles buying our inferior products, as you call them. We're not going to invest more money to build a higher quality product. It's not necessary. But they couldn't understand. They couldn't get it. It went right over their heads. Deming was talking about, let me teach you how to raise your quality while it automatically lowers your costs and increases your productivity. They couldn't grasp it, couldn't get their heads around it because they were too focused on what they were doing and the fact that, hey, we're winning the game as is. We're not going to do anything differently. We're not going to actually roll up our sleeves and change anything. We want to protect our positions too. And if we change something and it doesn't go right, then we're not protected. So Deming went off to Japan. They threw him out of the country. He went off to Japan. So what did he take to Japan? He took 14 management obligations or points. I call them management obligations, and we'll go through those. He also taught them a system whereby everyone worked together and got better, which created an incredible working environment between management and the employees. And he said, well, that's not good enough. It can't be just between management and the employees. It has to be between management, your employees, your customers, and your suppliers. And then he started to incorporate the idea of not using suppliers and pitting one supplier against another to buy from the lowest cost supplier, but he taught them to buy on quality and work with suppliers and integrate them into your system, into your processes, and into the value of your business so that you support them and help them grow, and they support you with better quality products. Teach them how to get better because their products are going in your vehicles. Now, let me tell you a story about how good Japan is at this. Toyota's incredible at this. If you haven't been to a Toyota plant, you won't know this. But down in San Antonio, Texas, where they build the Tundra pickup truck and the Tacoma, there are 28 suppliers on the assembly line working with Toyota people. Yes, 28 suppliers. And you want to talk about just in time and getting quality right? They are handing their products off to Toyota people on the assembly line who are installing their products in the final build of those cars right then and there. Talk about just in time. It is literally leaving the supplier's hands, being handed off to someone on the assembly line, and they're installing it on a vehicle. That's just in time. The next thing is the suppliers are helping them build the cars. They're doing their final inspections, validating that the quality Toyota expects is built into the product. They can't inspect quality in at that point. It's way too late. They're validating that it's there and without exception, and they're handing those products over, and they're literally 28 suppliers on the line helping Toyota build better cars and build them faster and lower their absolute inventory model, which just in time, people say, oh, we got a just-in-time inventory model. You have no clue what just-in-time means. You think it means just-in-time. Toyota would like to eliminate inventory totally. And with 28 suppliers on the line, they almost have done it because it goes from supplier to vehicle almost within seconds or minutes of that last handoff. It's almost elimination of inventory. Now, we could talk about COVID. We could talk about all these exceptions around the world where inventory supplies got challenged and shrunk at a great degree and didn't get replenished. Yeah, that's the exception. Right? That's the exception. You don't build a process or model based on an exception. You build it based on the norm. If the exception is something you're going to have to deal with forever now, obviously you change the process. But processes aren't built on exceptions. I hear it all the time. Everyone will throw out there, well, 1% of the time we have a problem here, so we can't do that. 1% of the time. Did you just hear what you said? You take the exceptions 1% of the time offline. You build a process for what happens every day, not for those exceptions. Okay, Deming's 14 management obligations. Are they still relevant for today? Lots of people ask me that. Do you think Deming's principles are really still relevant for today? Absolutely. No question. They're the answer. Because I look at Forbes magazine, I look at McKinsey consulting companies, I look at Bain and all the rest of them that write stuff. And every time they write stuff, they think they came upon some new revelation in business. Meanwhile, I kind of start chuckling because I read halfway through the article and all they're talking about is one of Deming's points. Not all of them. They just hit on one and they think they have the new secret sauce. We got the new secret sauce. People, businesses and organizations now should work on purpose. Yeah, really, that was Deming's first point. Constancy of purpose towards improvement of product and service. Constancy of what our purpose is in terms of our products, our service, our customers. Adopting the new philosophy was Deming's second point. No longer living with accepted levels of delays, mistakes, defective products, but getting that better, not taking that out of the system by a better process, by helping our people make sure that we eliminate those rather than accept delays, mistakes, and defects as a common way to do business. Oh, well, that's the way our industry works. I always hear that excuse as well. Well, that's kind of the industry standard. Well, that's what's wrong. It became the industry standard. Someone needs to change that and then take a competitive differentiator position by changing it. So cease dependence on mass inspection. Instead of mass inspections, inspection audits after the product's been made or halfway through, inspection by every employee at every stage should be required. As a Toyota automobile goes down the assembly line, every single employee that installs a component on that vehicle is inspecting his or her quality, the product quality, the work, and even the surround work. So it's inspected 2,000 times, 2,000 points of inspection before that car rolls off the assembly line floor. And that's from raw rolled sheet metal to a finished product. There's 2,000 inspection points because every employee that touches it inspects his or her work to ensure that the raw material's right and that his or her work is done correctly without any exceptions. And the practice of awarding business on the basis of price. In other words, when you select a vendor for your product, don't award the business based on price. What this price can sometimes have a greater cost than a higher priced supplier. So make sure you understand the quality that you're buying and award business on people that'll deliver on time with the quality that you require and that are willing and able to work with you and grow with you and actually help you build a better product or service. Find the problems. It's management's job to work continually on improving the system. And I see a lot of companies today where they don't want to hear about the problems, or they tell their employees, hey, if you come to me with a problem, you better come to me with a solution. Well, time out. Maybe the employee doesn't have a solution, but it's a real problem. And if you're in the seat or chair of a manager, you need to respond to that the right way, not say, don't come to me complaining, you need to have a solution. That doesn't fly with me very well because some employees, one, don't have the time to figure out a solution, don't have the authority to provide the right solution, and it's a problem that they need management support to work out, help, and take care of. So that's an excuse, and that is transferring their responsibility of their job on the workers. It doesn't fly with me very long before I'm in someone's face on that one. Institute modern methods of job training on the job. We've lost that in a lot of businesses. We don't train on the job. We expect schools, colleges, undergraduates to come to the business with being trained. We've outsourced training. We don't do training on the job too much. We've outsourced all our training. Part of the problem. Institute modern methods for leadership of production workers. So we need a modern method of teaching leadership and production workers from changing from just measuring and tracking and putting quota numbers to building in quality, getting the process right the first time, and the numbers take care of themselves. Many companies I work with are chasing numbers, they have metrics, they have quotas, they measure the wrong things, and guess what? They don't hit the numbers that we hit when I tell them we're taking the numbers out, we're not pushing quotas down on your people, we're going to solve problems, fix processes, and get the machine spinning really freely. We exceed all their numbers, all of them, every time. Exceed their quotas, their numbers, their people are happy, they're having fun. We create an environment that's energetic, enthusiastic workers, and they're not under the pressure of meeting an unrealistic quota anymore. They're fixing the obstacles that were once in the way and the barriers that kept them from delivering those numbers. We exceed those numbers. Those old numbers actually would hold people hostage to what the business is capable of producing. In most cases, management doesn't understand that. They put metrics and quotas and goals on people, but they don't have a method to produce that. That's just a number that they fictitiously chase. And in a lot of cases, it's fictitious accounting, it's numbers manipulation as well, and they're always a month behind chasing the number the next month. I've been through this too many times with too many Fortune 500 companies to tell you any differently. Eliminate goals, targets, posters. Let the workforce work on that. They don't need signs, posters, and stuff that's meaningless and doesn't improve their work. Eliminate the work standards, numerical quotas. I just covered that. Removing the barriers that stand between the worker and being able to accomplish the right work, which delivers the numbers. In other words, work on the process that delivers the results. So results will take care of themselves. You need this vigorous program of education and retraining moving forward. I always say you got to start with leadership. I always start with leadership. If they don't want to get the training and facilitate organizational transformation, we can't have a quality organization without leadership deciding that quality is going to be done right in the boardroom. Deming said it years ago, and I've come to find out he was 1,000% right. Quality begins in the boardroom, period, every day. Creative structure and top management that push on the above points every day. Right, top management bought in on making sure all these obligations are met by management every day. This is the model that I came across in 1996. Deming's chain reaction model, the improvement model. I came across this in 1996. This is when I really exploded and my mind started going, and I was on fire with this, and and started teaching it in the automobile industry and the aftermarket industry of automobiles with dealerships and fleets and other aftermarket companies. Improve quality. And if you improve the process quality, you improve management quality, you improve your quality relationships with your people. You just stay in that area of improving quality in all those areas. Your costs go down, you have less rework, you have fewer mistakes, delays, snags, you make better use of your machine time, so your machine's always running with first quality products being produced, and your materials are turning around quickly. So your inventory turns, produce greater output faster. Production automatically goes up and increases. So if you just stay in the improved quality portion of the chain reaction, you get everything else automatically. You capture the market. You're the highest quality, lowest price producer. That means you can have the lowest internal price. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to sell it for the least. You can, if you want to really gain market share quickly, or you can have a competitive price, but you'll have a better quality and a lower price per actual ownership cost of the products that you deliver to your customers, and you get to stay in business. Why? Because more customers will gravitate to your products and services because they are higher quality and their lower overall cost is less. You will get to provide jobs and more jobs. And that's, that almost sums up the Toyota story, right? They've done that. Many Japanese companies have done that since Deming's teaching. So we look at quality methods that are required. Deming said variation is critical. Understanding variation and taking it out of your systems and processes, and the less deviation from the average line, of variation. Every system, every business has an average line of variation, but you want to bring your upper and lower control limits closer to that common average. So a lot of times we're looking for big problems. We're making it too complex. Deming said the common causes, the predictable sources, workers' ability, the clarity of the procedures, instructions, day-to-day fluctuations and changes, and the capability of the machinery and how it's reliable every day are common causes that the business is plagued with variation every day, and no one's addressing that. They're looking for the big problems. Meanwhile, the little problems are predictable sources of variation that never get addressed. Then there are the special causes. The machine breaks down, the untrained workers on the job, sudden illness, defective product arrives from the vendor, variation of raw materials. These are special causes, but the better a company gets, I get them to the point where the special causes are removed. Why? Because we set up fail-safe methods and processes to check variation in raw materials coming in. If a defective product arrives from a vendor, it's caught before it's put into assembly. Sudden illness, you do that with wellness programs today with employees. You don't put an untrained worker on the job, and you make sure that machines are replaced or serviced properly so they don't break down. Can you ensure that every machine never breaks down inside a manufacturing plant or a production facility? No, but you can sure minimize it. Shrinking variation, is the way to reduce loss, and it's the key to quality in business. And if you're sacrificing quality for efficiency, at the end of the day, it's inefficient. And a lot of companies will sacrifice quality to produce efficiency, and that's inefficient. So what's missing from most lean transformations? What's missing? Getting lean right is important moving forward. More companies are going to be pressed to get there. More companies you'll see fall out of the marketplace because they don't get there. And what's missing? Most companies are stuck in event-based improvements, and they're not really improving. I said that earlier. We've got continuous improvement departments and officers. They've got their silos. They've invented their little projects. They measure every little project. They feed that up to leadership. Everyone feels good. Nothing's changed. Everyone feels good except the people doing the work that really know what the problems are and can fix the business. No one's listening because they're smarter than they are. And we have a continuous improvement department now, and they're responsible for that. So why is leadership and management training lacking? Why is that? Well, because we're teaching them the wrong thing. We're teaching them all quantitative measurements, and it's weighted so heavily on quantitative measuring and results that we failed to teach them qualitative management. So they don't have qualitative management. They're missing the knowledge of psychology and how people change and what causes them to change. They're missing the theory of knowledge, knowledge of variation, understanding systems, appreciation for process and systems, how to motivate people intrinsically. So we haven't taught them that. We've taught them quantitative analysis, and that's it. So that's what we have. Why do most companies still operate at these lower performance levels than the Japanese companies in terms of quality? Because we're missing the management piece. It's a management philosophy and management principles and Deming's 14 points that the Japanese still follow. So as a result, they're winning. They're winning the war in terms of quality and innovation today. Look at Prius from Toyota. I think about this, or QR codes. Toyota invented the quick response codes, QR codes. They're used for every industry imaginable today. They invented those. The Prius was invented 20 years ago. What better hybrid is there today than Prius? It's super reliable, and it's been consistent for 20 years. It's old technology, 20 years ahead in the hybrid world. What stops positive change? Ineffective leadership? That's a big one. Primarily, that's it. Ineffective leadership. Because you can't have culture when you have ineffective leadership. Culture is built from the top down, not the bottom up, and you can't wish it into place. You can't wish a good culture into place. It requires leadership to build it by doing what they say, not about talking about what they think. It's about doing what they say. And there's a lack of shared vision. If I can't get everyone with the same vision, then we got a problem. We got to address that problem. Do we have the right people? Do we have the wrong shared vision? Or don't people understand that the customer writes our paycheck and the only one we should be obligated to delivering the right results for is the customer first, right? We're doing it all for the customer because they write our paychecks at the end of the day. There is no profit. I always say, people will bring up to me, well, hey, Steve, we're responsible to the shareholder. You know, we got shareholder value to worry about. Hey, you know what? Yeah, you're right. But guess what? Without customer value, there is no shareholder value. And then they wake up and then they start listening to me. Take the customers away from the whole organization and not have a customer willing to buy your products or services, right? Then there is no customer value, no shareholder value. Without those customers, how are you going to pay shareholders dividends? Help me out there. Misaligned expectations. Misaligned expectations. Management has one set of expectations, employees have another, customers have another one. Vendors, suppliers have another one. Do we have misaligned expectations? We need to get everyone synchronized and on board, and I said aligned correctly with the same goal, end goal in mind. And then we get to no sense of urgency. There's no sense of urgency in a lot of businesses today. Why? Why is that? No sense of urgency. We're moving, we're like sitting in neutral and the engine's just idling. We can't pick a gear. We can't move forward. We're just sitting there in neutral. We're idling along. No sense of urgency. Why? Well, because we're rewarded so well, Steve, doing what we're doing. So why would we roll up our sleeves and work any harder? They don't see the storm coming. They don't sense competition getting close to their door. They don't even know customers are leaving them in groves. So there's no sense of urgency. The house isn't on fire yet. It's not hot enough. Can't see the flames. Maybe smell a little smoke, but no flames. We're okay. Leadership, as I said, builds culture. It's got to be built from the top down. Must happen with a strategic plan that aligns the organization. So we have those rowers rowing all in the same direction. Not half the rowers on the side of the boat rowing in one direction, half the rowers rowing in the other direction and just circling the camp day after day. We got to get organizational alignment and rowing in the right direction. Shared vision and purpose by everyone in the entire organization, including HR. I just threw that out there because they're my friends. Yeah, okay. I hope someone's laughing about that. Shared vision and purpose, including HR, as I said. Trained and empowered employees, management commitment and support. What's a management commitment and support look like? That means management's committed to helping, not just putting up quotas and goals. Helping the company win, helping every employee win and delivering better performance than their metrics and quotas. And by doing that, they have to be committed to taking out the obstacles and speed bumps, getting it right the first time, on time, at the lowest possible cost. So lean derailed, why? Neglecting this long-term range plan. What did I say you need? Strategic plan. It's got to be long-term. Can't be 30-day, make the month stuff. Relying on technology to solve problems. Put in software. Make our people slaves to software. Have them study their computers all day long and solve nothing. Make busy work, but no real productive work. Seeking examples, tools, looking for tools rather than developing solutions. Tool-based improvements. Make the month numbers and metrics. Excuses, our problems are different, Steve. You don't understand our industry. Then the management skill that we're not teaching in schools, reliance on quality control departments I touched on rather than management and supervisors, managing process and managing the entire system end to end where the employees win every day by producing the results that provide the performance levels that exceed metrics and quotas. Placing blame on workforces who are only responsible for 15% of the mistakes. This is a big one. Management loves to blame the people, but management's responsible for 85% of whatever happens in any business. 15% is only in control of the people. So if you want to fix this, you give the people 85% of the control by throwing up the reasons that keeps them from being the best they can be every day and solving management's problems. And that takes a real turnaround to management in terms of ego and pride. Toyota is a learning organization. I love working with them. I've worked with them since 1998, closely working with their consultants, working with Lexus consultants, doing their training programs, visiting their factories, taking students through their factories around the country. And it's just a great place. It's exciting. People love working there. And it's a fun place to visit. I've taken people through the Toyota plants and we get off the little train, especially the one in San Antonio. And you can only take 40 people through there at a time. That's all they have capacity for in the trains. And I've had 40 people go through there and get off the train and walk up to me and say, Steve, can we do the tour again? Yeah, sure. When? Right now. No, Toyota can't do it right now. They have time constraints there. But that's how excited these people are about going through a Toyota facility and seeing what I teach them in real life and seeing employees that are happy and engaged and enjoying the work they do and seeing 28 suppliers coming together and helping Toyota build cars faster and better every day. So quality is the prerequisite to achieve customer smiles and employee smiles. Built in the early design stages in engineering. In the Toyota world, everyone comes together. It's engineering, it's parts procurement, it's manufacturing, it's logistics. Everyone comes together when they design a product right out of the gate. So they're not building a concept car that manufacturing can't manufacture on the line. So it's all cleared up front. They spend more time up front getting it right, but they can deliver from concept to production in 12 months. It's an incredible feat for manufacturers to be able to do that in the automobile industry. The materials, fit, finish, the innovative new technology, they build in quality into every stage, design, production, and engineering, as I talked about, and you can see it here. From design quality, manufacturing quality, even marketing quality, product quality, and brand identity stretches out to the total quality portion of this pyramid. And the quality levels that customers truly expect are the highest in every category. Customers expect it. It's not a wish, they expect it. So Toyota continues to march towards a better product every single delivery and design that they manufacture. The fastest way to waste reduction is quality. Everyone's chasing waste reduction. As I talked about, lean's become focused on elimination of waste. What they don't understand is a holistic approach to higher quality lowers costs and is the fastest way to waste reduction. Quality of leadership, having a strategic plan, the people, the processes. You saw the Deming chain reaction model. Improve quality at the beginning in all these areas. You see it, quality, here's all the areas. You improve that, you get the chain reaction model. It's automatic. Your costs go down. You eliminate rework, scrap, defects, waste. Your productivity goes up because you're not doing those negative things to make your product better. They're gone out of the system. Your quality goes up, your actual costs go down. You gain market share because more people want your products, because the overall life cost to them is less, regardless of the initial price, and you gain market share, you provide more jobs. It all comes from leadership, strategic plan, people, processes, building the culture, quality, training, products, suppliers, and system. Quality in all those areas. 100% access to the end-on cord. I spoke about this. This is every employee can pull that emergency cord and let a line supervisor know they need help. Over 2,000 checks per car for safety, performance, and building quality. 350 training days in a year. Wow, who does it better than Toyota? Each step of the way, quality's never an accident. It's always a result of an intelligent effort. And I'm going to leave you with this last quote, and then we'll do some Q&A if you have it. The last quote comes from the late Steve Jobs, right? Customers don't form their opinions on quality from marketing. The marketeers would argue that today, because they put marketing spin on everything. But their marketing spin on quality is generally higher than their actual products or services that are delivered. Steve said they don't form their opinions based on quality awards. They form their opinions on quality from their own experiences with the products or the services. Customers don't form opinions on quality from what we say. It's from their own real experience. Okay, that's the end of my presentation. in this short time period. I wanted to end on time or close to time, and I think we are. We covered a lot. There's only about another 28 days of that presentation hidden in the details that you won't get in this short time frame, unfortunately. But I think we covered a
Thank you,
lot
Steve.
and gave you something to think about, right?
Thank you. Great presentation. I'm going to ask, well, first we're going to give you some time to take some breath. And,
Take a drink of water.
yes, if you can stop sharing your screen, Steve.
Sure.
And I'm going to ask everybody to, if you can turn on your videos and unmute yourselves. And we can give a good applause to Steve. Steve. It's difficult to speak for this long time to a computer, right? So it means good to see some faces.
Yeah,
Well
it's good to
done.
see some faces.
I think we're running out of time, but we're gonna, if you can stay, we can stay, or if anybody's willing to stay to have a conversation with you, just feel free to make a question. I have here some questions for you. It's about anybody. I saw Ricardo making a couple of questions. If Ricardo wants to, you want to start, Ricardo?
I'm curious about. I think it would be excellent if you would add to your presentation about some of the pre-runners to the auto production system, such as the Ford manufacturing system, you know, with the can-do and the also the grocery market Kanban system, and how that a lot of these systems that Toyota made so well, they did invent some of them in-house, but others they went out into the industry and took those and brought them into their system.
Sure. What James is talking about is the visits from Taiichi Ono and the president of Toyota to America, and they went through supermarkets and they visited Ford Motor Manufacturing, and they saw the assembly line. They got the actual Kanban and just in time from watching supermarket processes, and a lot of people, you know, think that was a trigger, which it was. It was a trigger for Taiichi Ono, the chief architect of the Toyota production system, along with the president. It was really Toyota family that enabled Taiichi Ono to do what he did, and he gives all the credit to them, really. But Kanban and just in time was from the supermarket visits. He visited the Ford factory. The problem with the Ford factory was it was mass production, and they had 3 assembly lines, and they had more equipment and of inventory and a lot more people than Japan had. So they had to figure this out with a lot less. And that's how lean production was birthed. The other thing that's fascinating is I spent a fair amount of time at the Rouge plant, which is in Dearborn, where they build the F-150. And I take my Toyota students through the Rouge plant. I take them through San Antonio first, and then I take them through the Ford Rouge plant. And do you know that the Ford Rouge plant people will always tell my Toyota students, we're implementing Toyota process ideas on the Ford line all the time in order to compete with the best in the industry. We're implementing Toyota production systems at the Ford plant. That's unheard of. You would have never heard that years ago from a domestic. They readily admit that. And they're doing just in time, and they're doing, but if you would come with me to a Toyota plant and then we go through a Ford plant or a GM plant, you would be you would be quite aware quickly of the differences. You can smell, hear, taste waste in those assembly plants compared to the Toyota plants. And I don't have a Toyota or a Lexus. I have to drive a Honda. My daughter works for Honda Motor Manufacturing. So everybody says, Steve, how many Toyotas and Lexus do you have in your garage? I don't have any.
Thank you, Steve. Ricardo, you want to go next?
Well, pretty much my questions that I put in the chat were mainly I think more on how the lean values are helping or help these kind of companies on having on contributing with the, let's say, one point is the emissions reduction globally, and the other question was related with the safety culture on lean company compared with a non-lean company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I imagine is much better. I'm in a cement industry, and this is kind of it's not like we believe a lot on lean values or lean. In the end, we want to run with a lot of waste. We run with a lot of waste, but because being afraid of failing down the road or so, and I wonder if this kind of companies like the cement industry can also adapt or adopt lean.
So you're looking for examples.
Right.
There's Danaher. Danaher owns companies all over the world. Primarily, they make a lot of medical, surgical tools nowadays. Danaher is a great lean company. Then there's the Herman Miller Office Supply Company in Michigan. They're lean. There's Autolive in Utah that makes a lot of the airbags for cars. They're very lean. These are the ones that I think do the best. There's Virginia Mason Healthcare that does a good job. These are the ones in the United States that I could recommend, as well as the Toyota plants. But the problem with it is there aren't a lot of examples, and that's frustrating. You know why? Because Deming was an American and we pushed him out of here, and the Japanese are doing this and have been doing it for years, and we're still not getting it right. It's frustrating. Someone just asked me, they wanted to go to a lean company. They're working for a company that's owned by Toyota right now in the States, which is Raymond Corporation. They're owned by Raymond, and a guy asked me, if I leave Raymond, where do I go? I go, well, there's only a handful of places to go. Otherwise, you're going to be frustrated. He's working, he loves where he works because it's owned by Toyota. I said, absolutely. I said, to find an environment like you're working in, it's going to be difficult. His girlfriend's making him move to some other part of the country. I said, you know, hey, it's up to you. But there's I can't report a whole lot of them. I might think of another one or two here momentarily, but.
Okay, Steve, there were a chat here that were commenting about the Deming red
bead experiment.
Yes.
Yeah, I do the red bead experiment all the time in my classes. Actually, it's a great illustration of management allowing the problems to exist in the system and forcing workers to get better when it's the luck of the draw. They're drawing red and white beads out of a holding tank, but it's the luck of the draw whether they pull all white ones or red ones or mixtures. But yeah, I have a lot of fun with that. I I fire people and everything. It's great. I enjoy the red bead experiment. You know, I was asked to conduct the red bead experiment for Lexus, which was quite an honor because here's Toyota Lexus, and they wanted to see the Deming red bead experiment, and I did it at one of their conferences. So, yeah, it's I could do it on here someday for you, I guess, but it's hard to do it unless you're in front of people because you need line workers as supervisor, you need inspectors, you need you know. You just can't, you need production manager, you just can't do it. You need an accountant, you can't do it virtually. It wouldn't have the effect.
Thank you. And there were also comments about when you say that you used to tell your company that the quality of your products were not with a high quality. There was a conversation that now the companies, what they do different product levels, right? Different levels of product quality, and they call it now premium or regular products. With the low quality products, they just create a product line, cheap product line, and the high quality products, they do a premium quality line. So that's kind of cheating, right? Any comment there?
Yeah, well, who are you referring to? Just companies in general?
Well, yes, and there was a comment about, for instance, the Boeing. Now there's going to be the Max 737, right? The new.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. Yeah, well, you look at, and somebody brought this up to me a while ago, and I said, well, look at Toyota. Look at their Corolla. Take the Toyota Corolla. That's a low-priced economy car. I don't know a better low-priced economy car. Toyota's sensing on that, their advanced driver assistance system works as good on that as it does on their Avalon. It's incredible. The Toyota Corolla is a phenomenal buy. It's a great car. It's got super high quality for a low econo car. Now, it doesn't have the leather that Avalon has or the Highlander. No, it doesn't have the quality features, appointments, and feel, but it's a low-priced econo car with the same high quality and reliability built into that in their low-price model. So that's all I can tell you. Same with Honda. Look at Honda Civic, which is their low-price model, which is super. No one sells more Civics or Corollas in the low-price model lines than those two companies in the States,
Yeah, Steve, Alan excused himself. He doesn't have a microphone, but he really wanted to thank you. But he has a question. He typed a question about how to work toward fix misaligned expectations. What is your approach? Most employees only think about paycheck. How can you empower those people? They really do not want to involve in company's value. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's, I've run into that. There's no question about it. But I always have a talk with them, like, you're only here for a paycheck. Why? And a lot of times they say, well, management doesn't care about me, so I don't care about being loyal. Okay, well, that's a two-way street. It gets down to, do we have the right environment? Do we have the right people? Do we have the right people in the right places? I've gone into companies, and I can tell you story after story where they have really good people, but they have mispositioned them to the point where the people are very frustrated with the jobs they've been given because they don't feel comfortable in those roles. It happens all the time. Even the biggest Fortune 500 companies can destroy their employees by misplacing them. And then these people just show up for a paycheck because they literally hate their job. Why? Because they don't enjoy the work they've been given, and they were taken out of a job in some cases that they really enjoyed. So it's this rub and friction between the worker and management that sometimes creates that I'm just here for a paycheck mindset. Now, when it truly is, I'm just here for a paycheck mindset, then we got to start addressing, do we have the right people and why are they here? And that's a management problem as well, isn't it? Who hired them? It all gets back to management when you think about it. If I have the wrong people, whose fault is that? That's mine. I hired them. If I'm keeping them, whose fault is that? That's mine. So you have to evaluate, is it the people, or is it the environment, or is it what management does to the people? At the end of the day, it all falls on management's table to fix, you know? And that's managers, quit blaming the person. Did you find out what's wrong with the person? Well, he has a bad attitude. I've talked to really, really great people that have a bad attitude, that management told me they had a bad attitude. You know why they had a bad attitude? They knew how to fix the place and no one would listen to them. They actually had the answers.
Yeah, I've seen the same.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve, I think we can run here for a couple of more hours. Unless somebody really wants to make one last question, just unmute yourself.
Sure. I'd love to.
Okay, go ahead. Who's this?
Sure. Hi. So you talk a lot about all these really excellent lean companies and how essentially we've forgotten a lot of those problems over time. But you know, now that we're more associated with it, we can all try to motivate that kind of change going on in the future. But you also were talking about, you know, when you're establishing a lot of these good lean parts, you have to start from the top and go down. And you mentioned that in your slides there as well. But how do we as you know, whether we're on the bottom or in the middle and the top, you know, how do we down here help everything from up here?
Great
Sorry,
question.
yes, go ahead.
Someone muted me. That's okay. That's a super, Christopher, right? That's you? Was that you speaking?
Yep, that's me.
Great. Yeah, good question. So if you're in the middle or the bottom ranks of this, and I talk about leadership all the time, I'm hard on leadership, and I apologize for that, but I really don't. I'm just being nice to them. I don't. They need to get on board, really. But if you're in the middle, I was in the middle. I've been in the middle in big corporations. I've worked for Fortune 500 companies. I was in the middle. So what did I do? I started my own consulting department inside a company. And I started teaching customers lean. I started my own consulting company under the corporation, and I started teaching the customers lean. You know what they did? They got better than the company that I represented, way better. Their operations exploded. So I carved out my own niche inside a corporation that I couldn't get to be lean. I had the ability to become a lean consultant to their customers, make their customers better. They bought more products from us. So I increased their profitability and their throughput and their operations. And they became stronger customers for us. And people would ask me all the time, Steve, can you teach us that internally? No, I'm done. Because why? The CEO doesn't want it. So I'm just staying in my own little consulting department, teaching our customers how to get better and buy more from us, which supports the company. But the CEO's not on board. Why would I waste my time trying to teach people internally? You can't change the direction of the ship. Only he can. He's not interested. And that's what I did. That's the brutal truth of it.
So bad that you couldn't get them to move logs, so you just did it all by yourself.
Well, yeah, and my people on the consulting team, we were all lean thinkers doing great things, but no, we couldn't. I mean, it was an age-old company, and it had hierarchy, and it was the top of the tower mentality that we're too big to fail, and we're too old to change. Okay. You know, and I, to be honest with you, Christopher, I quit beating my head against the wall. I had to figure it out a different way that was exciting. And what we did was super exciting. We had 17 years of excitement doing it before I left and started my own company. So it was great. I mean, it was great.
it was great watching the company sign their own death notice,
Well,
or
sort of just, yeah, I mean, it was great because we knew what we were doing and we were keeping them alive. And you know, hey, um, it's like watching your kids fall off the bicycle sometimes. Sometimes you let them fall because they won't learn any other way. There's no stopping it.
yeah, except it's going to be like 80,000 people who buy a car that explodes. You know.
That wasn't a car manufacturer. That was another company. No, that wasn't a car manufacturer. Yeah, let me set the record straight on that. That was not a car manufacturer.
If I can interject, so for top management to buy in, don't you need to convince them with some metrics, some values, put in front of them what would be the return on investment? I'm not talking money. I'm talking, investing in lean. If you can show them the output, I think they would not, mind at least trying. It's a problem is the way that you're presenting in your presentation is it's thinking. You go and tell the CEO or the VP that we need to change the way we're thinking because we're gonna be doing this and doing that without giving them hard numbers or KPIs. I don't think you will get anyway.
Oh yeah, they love numbers. I took the numbers off the table of one company. They could only do 375,000 a month. I started working with them. They're $1.7 million a month company today. That was many years ago, but we started at 375, and that was cool. They couldn't even get 375 a month. They couldn't even do it. There are people who would once in a while break through that 375, and they were bloody, they were worn out, they were frustrated, and they wouldn't do it again. We took the numbers off the table, the quotas, started fixing the processes, and we started going 425, 450, 550 a month, 650, 600,000. It just kept climbing year after year. But yeah, I told you, we teach these people quantitative measurements. They're obsessed with it. They can't think qualitative. To me, this is basic common sense. If I treat my workers well, and we focus on our core product to deliver the right quality to the customer every day, we win. Numbers take care of themselves. Being held hostage by a quota and a number in most cases holds us back from fixing the processes that we so desperately need to fix.
Christopher, this is Maggie Hubner. Another suggestion to consider is, while you may not have any influence with your leadership, there are other people who can influence your leadership, and there might be an opportunity to influence them.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maggie,
So, what would you suggest then?
Maggie, turn your mic back on for a minute, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's excellent. I'm glad you brought that up. Using a third-party influencer of some type, Christopher, that's an equal to your CEOs, and sometimes that does work. Art Byrne, that used to work for Danaher, said, if I can't get the CEOs to come visit our place, we're not having tours anymore. The tours stopped at Warmold. Art Byrne ran Warmold. He left Danaher to run Warmold. He was the CEO. And all these people called him up and wanted to come visit Warmold because it was a lean company at that time. And it was managed by Art Byrne. And he had that thing rocking and rolling. And all these people wanted to come through. And he says, look, I'm done with the tours. Unless you bring your CEO, don't come. The tours stopped. How unfortunate is that? The people, what was right? They couldn't get their senior management to go. Yeah.
Okay, that's fascinating. I guess you're really looking at all these very unconventional ways to be able to influence the leadership, and I suppose that's a good way to, that's something that I guess I should consider, or I guess we should all consider.
Well, this is unconventional.
Oh, wait, somebody muted you there.
Yeah, sorry, it's because there's some echo on your area on your side, Steve. That's the reason sometimes I need to. So I apologize.
Christopher, it's lean's kind of, or lean or TPS, whatever you want to call it. It's unconventional thinking to begin with. So to get it across to management, it's void of it in a lot of business segments. It's going to take an unconventional way to do that as well. You're going to have to get creative thinking going, because lean's really about creative thinking. It's about creating an environment where we get creative thinking going and energy, and it's fast moving. It's exciting.
Well, okay. Thank you so much.
I think we're running out of time, Steve. We really appreciate your having you with us today. I really think I want to thank Alan Horschett, that he's the one that contacted you and set up this presentation. And thank you again.
Thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate it. Take care. Thanks,
And
Chris.
I think we are going to share your slides with our group. And
yes,
people were asking about how to contact you.
I'm going to send the slides to you, Eduardo, tomorrow.
Yeah, I have those already. I just checked. But if there's any direct email or
Yes.
website for you that they can contact you.
Yeah, they can send me an email. Do you want to push that out to them?
Okay. Oh yes, I have it here. I will put it on the chat. I will put it with the slides.
Okay.
Do you mind putting
Thank
it
you,
in the
everybody,
chat too?
and we'll see again. We'll see us again next month.
Okay.
I'm gonna put his email right now here in the chat for everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for this. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
This has been a really amazing experience. You know, I've gone to all sorts of ASQ conferences. You know, Vancouver, Canada, Montreal, right? And this by far takes the cake. I've gotten like 12 in the last month, and this is by far the best. So thank you for your work.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you.